Welcome to the Meta Slayer Show, where we discuss hot topics from the worlds of Warhammer and beyond. My name's Lawrence Baker, and today we will be discussing, are epic heroes too epic, and how can we fix them? So today I have with me the infamous, the pastry chef himself, rules connoisseur.
Oh, delicious.
And also alongside these delicious baked goods, we have Meta Mike himself.
Hello.
Hello, gentlemen. So today we'll be discussing, are these heroes too good? Because certainly from my point of view, you are seeing them, dare I say a mandatory take, an auto take, you're seeing them everywhere, you know, right? Especially at a competitive level, right?
I think as soon as you start writing a list, probably one of the first three things you put in is an epic hero.
Almost certainly. Yeah, like so many armies are dependent on them as well.
Dependent, that's a very interesting word. Okay, so what I want is some examples. Like why, where is the dependency? Give me some examples of armies which you couldn't leave home without a special character.
Well, at the moment, at time of filming, realistically, Calgar's the big one.
Yeah.
Specifically, old Calgar, who shouldn't exist. That in and of itself is a problem. But then he's always joined by his best mates, Ventress and Cato.
Yeah.
We then have Orcs. You kind of don't leave home without Gaz at the moment. Thousand Suns, you're probably running Magnus. Yeah. Salamanders.
I mean...
why are you running Salamanders without running Vulcan?
This is it, right? And we'll come to the discussion of the purpose of epic heroes later as well, and some of the reasons why you would run them, even if they're not good. But there are some armies that don't have many epic heroes, but when they do come in, they're so good, you have to run them. Malice, Lady Malice. Yeah. As a Drakari player, why would you not, in any detachment, or build competitively?
Well, the Archons don't offer, she does everything that an Archon does, but better, effectively.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of left going, well, I could take a regular Archon, but since he offers me basically nothing, outside of, depending on your detachment and enhancement, right? She's just that good. Yeah. She's just that good, and especially for a Drakari playstyle. In any detachment, she's going to be effective, right? So give me some examples then. Why is Calgar the beast that he is? Like, why is he an auto-include over, especially with Space Marines, you've got a huge variety of characters to pick from, and enhancements depending on your detachment, right? Yeah. So what's the issue here?
Epic heroes, they either are front-loaded with rules, which are either the same as your normal character, but better. For example, Calgar, if he's your warlord, gives you a CP.
Right.
Cool. One captain, doesn't matter how many captains you got, can make a stratagem cost less. So it's equivalent, except that CP can be used anywhere.
Right.
In addition, Calgar's unit can fall back, shoot, and charge. All the time.
Brutal.
So,
advance. And
advance. Yeah. That's what I mean. Completely forgot about, that little bit. Yeah. So he's effectively in Gladius all the time, no matter what detachment. You're going to run him in Gladius or the Blaze of Ultramar one. Yeah. But the point being is that then you don't need to worry about, do I need to use a doctrine here? Do I need to use the stratagem to do a doctrine here? Oh, because Calgar's giving me a CP, I can use that stratagem elsewhere. And if I've got a captain, I can make a stratagem 0 CP elsewhere. So he's just giving you so much extra that you don't already have, on top of an incredibly robust stat line, both defensively and offensively. Yeah. So that's just him as an example. Because of that, the enhancements aren't generally as good, so it doesn't really matter that you're flexible enough. Sure, a captain on foot can go mega mode once per game. He gets his extra attacks and devi wounds. Yeah. Sure. Calgar doesn't care because he's always turbo all the time.
He's always turbo.
It's like, it doesn't matter. 9 times out of 10, Calgar and his best mates Victrix are going in and killing whatever they want anyway. Yeah. So you don't need that extra turbo mode. Because of and I think this goes to a lack of the granularity in 10th edition at the moment. Because there's that lack of granularity, you can't make your own character that could be an equivalent. And this was a thing if you go back to earlier editions. You used to be able to, really enhance them with warlord traits and relics and the extra pointed upgrades. But even back then, there were times where you just couldn't quite pip it up to a special character. And I think that's been a real problem from the get-go with epic heroes or unique characters, however you want to call them.
Yeah, I think that tunes into it. The unique, I think, is the issue. Because what you'll find is a lot of these epic heroes will have a unique rule that is not anywhere else in the army. And when we talk about Malice, for example, Lord of Deceit, you've got it, and the redeploy. So suddenly you're like, well, that's the only possible access I have to those rules. Therefore, the epic hero needs to be in the army. Otherwise, it's just a tool that otherwise I just wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And then the points, the way that we balance the game, don't necessarily reflect how important that ability is to that army.
Well, it's funny you mentioned points, because I mean, look, Calgar, in a vacuum, I mean, he should be an absolute weapon, right?
He should be.
He
is the plot armor.
All of these characters should be, weapons. That said, you're seeing not one special character with all of these armies. You're seeing a multiple, exponential stacking of power. And speaking about points, Chef.
Oh.
Titus, he's pretty cheap, isn't he? Titus and friends.
New kid on the block. He has a lot of friends.
He's another Ultramarine, isn't he?
And there's already been it's that initial internet reaction to, and I did the same thing. I was looking at him, it was like, oh, he's pretty cool, and like, oh, I'm glad he's got damage 2 on his chainsaw. He's Titus.
Yes.
He should be.
Yes.
He should be a weapon. And then you go, and he stands back up on a 2+. That's cool. He stands back up on a 2+ if he kills someone. That's a really unique twist on that ability. It doesn't say once, but
it's not limited, is it?
No, it's not.
It's not limited.
But it is limited. It is limited to a degree because it's one of those things that's only going to realistically going to come up maybe once again.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sure.
Sometimes twice, and if you get really lucky. Yeah. And everyone loses their minds over it, as the internet collectively does, as we do here when we read something. We go, oh my God, it's so broken, it's really powerful. And then the dust settles. But that doesn't detract from the fact that even if you took away that rule, that, bear in mind, is unique and no one else in the entire game can do it, he's still just really good.
Yeah.
He's still just really powerful. He gives his entire unit sustained 1, which again, no one else in the Space Marine army does. Now, as we know, sustained, lethal, all those kinds of rules are really, really strong. Now, I'm going to take a little twist on the epic hero thing, because I've always called them unique characters, because that was the era that I grew up in. Are epic heroes too epic? Yes. Are unique characters unique anymore? No.
Oh, okay.
Because they're everywhere. Because there's no limitation on them. Because back in my day, you'll remember this. I remember when Calgar was, he had his 3rd edition rules, and you read his stat line, and you go, oh my gosh, he's crazy. He can only be used in a 1,500 point game in an era where 1,000 was the normal, with your opponent's permission.
Yes.
You couldn't use him in events, in tournaments, things like that. He was there because he was a really cool model, because you were taking him as part of a narrative thing. And I think this is a general part and parcel of some of the issue with the epic heroes, is they take away from the narrative of your dudes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as you say, they bring so much to the table from a game perspective, you can't not take them.
Right.
Tau, for example. If you want +1 to wound on pretty much anything in your army, you need to take Farsight. Yeah. Oh, and Farsight also gives you the captain free CP ability, which in an army like Tau, in certain detachments, are really CP heavy. Well, that's really good. Oh, you want to have extra CP in your Star Shatter Legion for Necrons. You're probably going to take Imhotep, because he's the only thing in the army which gives you that CP. Now, the problem then becomes is, how do you balance that? One, you don't, unless you give it to a generic version. Yeah. Or you make it an enhancement, or you make it an ability. Yeah. But then that almost takes away from the epicness of these epic heroes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so to bring this back, so to points specifically, because part of the problem, I think, is absolutely that the points are probably, they're not comparable enough with a regular character. Or sorry, rather, they are too comparable with a regular character.
Sometimes they're cheaper.
Yeah, which is just wild, right? But Titus in particular, you're seeing the emergence of these, characters and units which can then potentially join another unit and create, to coin a phrase, Death Stars. That used to be a thing. These aren't unkillable, so perhaps Death Star is not the right term for it, but they are very, very cheap bricks of multi-wound, usually high OC units. I mean, you've got your trick with Vulcan and the company heroes. Let's talk us through that. What are the rules which are egregious when you compound all of these things?
So it is all about that leading thing.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have characters like Vulcan who just have a very good rule, and then you just stick a bunch of ablative defensive wounds on top of it.
Yeah.
So Vulcan OC 10 on an objective that you pick when he's set up. 4 at Fauna Pain, Leadership 5+, and then you've got the 4 company heroes that make the unit -1 to wound. They're also OC 2 each, and the banner gives an OC to Vulcan. So it's OC 19 from 5 40mm bases.
It's just brutal.
And it's just brutal. And why would you not take that? And then on top of it, like with all of the Space Marine compliant chapters, your detachment gives you an additional bonus based on having that named character. And then on top of that, there was, of course, that balanced data slate that gave your named character the ability to give, in Vulcan's case, Infernus extra stuff like extra OC and things. So now you're even more drawn into taking that character.
Yeah.
And I think the issue is the whole leader thing is problematic, right?
Yeah.
Because Vulcan can lead company heroes, he can also lead intercessors.
Yeah.
And suddenly that's not as much of an issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you, there's no sort of scaling in points for what that character starts to lead.
Right.
In 1,000 points, maybe Calgar can't lead 6 Victrix Guard. In 2,000 points, oh, he definitely does.
Yeah.
And suddenly, you know, Titus, we're giving sustain to something, and then it expands further with the whole Death Star thing.
Yeah.
Titus, the Wardens,
Yeah.
6 Blade Guard.
Yeah.
This is like 40-something wounds.
Yeah, with invulnerable saves to chew through first.
Vulnerable saves, and then you pile on the detachment as well. You've got -1 to wound if you're on an objective.
Yep. Potentially armor of contempt.
Potentially armor of contempt.
Yeah, it's nasty.
And because you've got different models in the unit you can assign wounds to, you can pick and choose, oh, that's AP4, I'll put it on a Blade Guard.
Right.
Oh, that's AP1, I'll put it on a little human that somehow has 3 wounds for some reason. and suddenly the way you're able to manipulate saves also becomes egregious.
Yeah.
So I think it's how can you scale the points value with what they can lead?
Yeah.
Because you don't see Vulcan with intercessors.
No.
You don't see Calgar with assault intercessors.
Yeah.
It's just with this big unit, and then you cut down points on the rest of the list in order to take this.
Yeah, to feed your Death Star, yeah.
No matter how much they change the points of Victrix Guard, you're always going to try and shoehorn that unit with that epic hero in, because it's so good.
And I think the problem is, you know, to again, to use like a competitive term like trading, right? So people tend to have to spend a lot more resource in points than that Death Star unit actually cost.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, probably some of the costs of these are not appropriate, right?
Generally speaking, no. And generally speaking, when you're like trading and stuff, it's usually actually a good thing if you manage to trade up, but it doesn't often happen. No. A lot of the times you do get that sort of efficiency loss of, I've got to send in a little bit extra, but sometimes that's worth it. Like if they've got, I mean, again, the points cost of things is usually too low, because if you went, hey, you know what, I've spent 400 points to kill the Victrix Guard or cripple them, that's great. Yeah, they've got another 12 running around, so it doesn't matter.
That's going to be exactly my next point. So the problem with Titus,
with their own special characters.
Yeah, exactly. That's just one prong of a trident, right? You know, then you're seeing Calgar and associated bodyguard, and then you're seeing who? Kato?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uriel Ventress.
Yeah, Uriel Ventress. You've got access to redeploys in there, so you could even be picking up these units.
If you were to take the Wardens, Titus, and a unit of Blade Guard, that unit, just the unit, has 5 special rules, let alone Oath of Moment, and the detachment rule, and the extra detachment rule, and a stratagem, and potentially more stratagems, because hey, you've probably got Calgar across the field giving you more CP to spend on them. So that unit by itself has something like, what, 8 rules before you add in stratagems. That unit can have potentially 10 rules rocking on it.
Sounds a lot like admin.
I mean, and that's just one example, right? And I think this is just a problem of 10th in general, is just this compounding, stacking rules. But epic heroes are really egregious for it, because they are often they're so unique in what they give you, oftentimes. I'm sure we'll get to it, but if they didn't do that, if, hey, Titus gave you Rites of Battle instead of stand back up and down, hey, look, he's still giving you sustained, but instead of he gets a once per game turbo mode, he gives his unit sustained, but they're both just captains with Rites of Battle. Yeah. That doesn't feel as bad. It just feels like an alternative rather than a straight upgrade or just something a bit better. Yeah. If Calgar, rather than gave you a CP that you could use willy-nilly, was just a captain, I know he's a chapter master, but just had Rites of Battle. Advanced fallback, shoot and charge is still really good, but it's not as bad. Yes, he's still very powerful. Yes, you still shouldn't be able to take his Victrix friends who don't exist anymore, because they're now the Victrix Honor Guard. I see you out there, everyone. I see what you're doing. But it's things like that. But then on the other end of the spectrum of, and this is just Space Marines. I know we're using Space Marines a lot. It's because they've got such a massive roster. Gaz, he provides so much to the army. He's the only consistent source of high damage, of high AP, as well as being a really big unit buffer. But what about, hey, you want to run Paragon War Suits in your sisters? You only have more than Val if you want to take a character.
She's an auto.
And she's an auto include anyway, because she's so good. But even if she wasn't as good, you'd be like, but I really feel like, you're not talking on like a pure efficient competitive sense, but I want to take a character to lead a unit, you have to take more than bot. You have to. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And that also just is a bit sucky.
Well, it is a shame, isn't it? So, so to bring it back, like narratively, I think
she's too unique.
Yeah, she's too unique. Well, the problem is that ultimately, if every single army is filled with a plethora, and then also it's not fair because a lot of factions just don't have as many epic heroes to even pick from. So you're always going to get this.
Have any.
Yeah, you're going to get this disparity, right?
My Night Lord's epic hero.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So some of you just left with the bog standard, captains or heroes. But if every single army is littered with multiple epic heroes, and if you take the example of the Ultramarines, these are not even from the same companies, right?
No.
So you've got multiple captains from different companies. Should this be allowed in all truth? If in an apocalypse game where your 500 worlds campaign, maybe all of the companies have come together on one world. Yeah, that can happen. But that should be an exception, right?
Yeah, if you're doing like a narrative thing, so a common thing, not so much anymore, but it used to be fairly common, was Shadow Sun and Farsight together. Because Shadow Sun gave you Lone Op, which is really good, as we know, for objective holding, as well as a 6-inch bubble of reroll ones to hit. Really good. Farsight then buffs up a big unit of Crisis.
But they hate each other, Chef.
Well, you could argue from a narrative perspective, this is an old school battle when they were both like young and upcoming and, sort of working under the pure title. This is a training simulation, blah, blah, blah. But then why does he have the Dawnblade? Why does she have her special suit? Narratively, you can make some sort of arguments, but there is a stretch. Competitively, it was really good because they both provided rules which you didn't get elsewhere. And this is, sort of half the thing. How do we fix that?
Yeah, so that's the question. So how do we fix it? Because we've certainly played editions, many editions, and yourself included, where actually you were seeing a lot of regular characters. You would see the epic heroes too, absolutely, but you would often see a lot of regular characters because they used to be able to have access to not just enhancements, but a plethora of very usually army powerful abilities. This is obviously back in the day where characters had auras, but the Warlord traits. The Warlord now, weirdly in 10th edition, feels a bit like a token gesture. It's like, here's my Warlord. Cool.
I don't think it interacts with anything outside of Crusade.
Right.
Even then, I think it's quite a rare interaction.
Right.
I think there might be one or two stratagems. Like I think there was is there a Drakari one?
I think there's stuff against Warlords.
Yeah,
it becomes
if you kill the Warlord,
a bit like how Psychic has become almost a detriment, having it triggers your opponent's rules rather than your own ones. But having two things now going on top of the rules from the data sheet of that character and making them really feel your own is definitely going to give you some impetus to take that character. And I think the purpose of Epic Heroes is to give an army an identity.
Okay.
I take Salamanders, I take Ajax, and I take Vulcan. Because beyond a colour scheme, and not all of us have painted armies, that makes them Salamanders. And I don't ever want to...
You don't want to lose the flavour.
I don't want to lose the flavour. No. But at the same time, if you're now given a character that has this really cool Warlord trait and a really cool relic, like a Drake Scale cloak, then I'm like, cool, I can put a character in that I've converted, it's got this cloak, everything. That is definitely a Salamander. Sure, it's not Vulcan or Ajax, but I am playing Salamanders, and you can see that right there. So it gives you that identity, and then Epic Heroes should give you a bit of gravitas. But that should only come with a certain size of game.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. Well, I think that what we have seen though is that they're really moving away from restrictions completely, aren't they? They want you to. There's no even 3 battle line minimum. And
no.
Right? You can just
you need to have at least one character, I think. I think that's
but you don't even have to take battle line in theory, right?
No. There's no benefit to taking battle line other than you can run 6 of them, and the only armies that really care about that used to be Chaos Knights when you do doggy spam. I mean, I guess Harlequin players, if you're running Monoquins, care about it because that's the only option you have.
Exactly. Drakari.
What else?
Drakari tend to care about it.
But again, I mean, I'm not seeing more than like 3 units of witches.
You steal a cult generally just because they're main the hybrids.
That's kind of your core thing.
So do you think it is? I mean, I've always said I think restrictions are a good thing.
I think removing the Force Hog was a terrible decision. But that's a topic for
we can do a whole video on that if you guys want to hear us talk about that. But I think outside, I don't think it's realistic at this stage that they're going to limit the amount of epic heroes that you take, are they? They're not going to say you can only have up to 500 points, or you can only have
one. I mean, like, if it was me, because I've done this before when this is ages ago, before we started running events, before we even moved to the southwest of this green and pleasant land, and I was saying, like, wouldn't it be fun if we were running our own events? And if both players have play against each other and they both have the same epic hero, they both die immediately because of a time distortion. Because you shouldn't have that. I mean, you should, outside of an event, you're not really going to play against each other anyway. But this is kind of what I mean. They're so ubiquitous. They're everywhere. You could look at, again, at time of filming, I think Palm Springs Open was just happening. And I think there were 16 Space Marine players of varying flavors. I can almost guarantee you that every single one of those Ultramarine players had Calgar in. I can guarantee it. Because why would you not? Well, he's probably the first port of call. And it's just a little bit, it's like what you say with the characters should bring you gravitas, but the gravitas is lost.
It is, yeah.
There's nothing special about seeing them anymore. You just go, well, of course.
Oh, it's Calgar.
Yeah, obviously it's Calgar.
He's not jumping out of a hovercraft, jumping out and shooting all of those.
No, right.
Space Marine 2, right?
Isn't that moment absolutely awesome? Like, I've not even played the game yet, but I've seen the clip, and I'm just like, I don't like Ultramarines, but I'm like,
oh yeah, you like Ultramarines and Space Marine too.
That's pretty cool though. I'm like, oh okay, that's pretty badass. But you see him on the tabletop, and you go,
It's become normal.
Basil. There's nothing exciting about you running them anymore. No. On the flip side of things, like using the example of in earlier editions where you could bring warlord traits, enhancements and stuff, there was almost the opposite end of it with certain special characters. Why would I run Dante when I could run Slamguinius?
Exactly.
Because he was just so much better. And this has always been a problem in any edition of 40k. There's always something better. And especially as you get towards the midpoint of an edition or the end of an edition, as we probably know we are, guys, let's be perfectly honest, everything kind of settles. There's nothing, and also, Games Workshop's probably looking and go, what's the point in changing anything now?
Exactly.
I mean, they may surprise us in the balanced data set and go, you can only run one captain in an army. I mean, this used to be a thing. In 9th edition was, you can have one captain per detachment, back when you had multiple detachments. It was still a little bit like, oh, would you like a little bit of everything, but not too much of everything, whereas now they just go, whatever, do what you want. And I get it from a business standpoint. They don't want to tell people, you bought this really cool model, can't use him.
No, of course not.
Like, that's also a bit lame. But then, ironically, you brought this really cool model, but you're not going to use him because he's better.
Exactly. Well, you're completely right as well on the warlord trait thing. What they used to do is, you could effectively make a normal captain or character better than some of your epic heroes, or your special characters as they were called back then. And obviously that was a problem. It went the other way. But one of the most egregious things they did is it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so much that the warlord traits themselves would be too much. It was that they then allowed you to take multiple warlord traits. You remember that?
Yes.
So you could have multiple.
So you could have your cake and eat it, and it was that was the problem then, and the problem now is you can have your epic character and eat another one. Whereas if you have using Vulcan as the example. I know we're on Space Marines a lot, but I think they're probably the worst offenders.
Well, they've got the most characters available.
They do have the most characters and the most variety, but you could apply this anywhere. When Vulcan does he have to be your warlord to get the OC bonuses?
No, right.
So I would make that if he's your warlord.
Yes.
I would also have it as like, if Vulcan is in your army, he must be the warlord because he's, my understanding of the fluff, they would defer to Vulcan because they're like...
He's outside the chain of command, but
if
they would follow him.
Now, if you had warlord traits, then fine. Well, now you've lost out on a warlord trait because he's got these extra special rules. Maybe you could go a step further and be like, hey, you get this cool detachment buff, but you're not allowed any enhancements. I don't know. Like, there's lots of little tweaks and things that you could do without going mega harsh. I would go mega harsh because I'm that kind of person. I would just be like, epic heroes are not usable outside of your opponent's permission, or outside of
second edition rules.
Or outside of certain game sizes, or outside of certain game modes. Like, I've mentioned this many, many times, there should be a fourth way to play, which is tournament play.
Yes.
Match play is your normal way to play. Tournament play is if you're playing at an event and you want real structure. And like, you don't get special characters.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, that would really hurt some armies from a balance perspective because again, they only have access to certain rules with certain characters. And this is part of a problem with 10th edition as a whole. All these different ways of doing things and different characters doing things. I really like it as a concept. I love the idea of characters leading units, and I like the fact that they've limited them so you don't get some weird scenarios like you used to do in earlier editions where you'd have a Terminator Lord leading a unit of normal Space Marines and tanking every single hit. And you'd be like, this is a bit weird. Why is he leading a unit of normal veterans? Like he should be with Terminator. So I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But there's just certain things where because it's almost done for you, it really just hurts. It helps and hinders the overall balance of the game, in my opinion.
I think the overarching issue with 10th edition, obviously we want to look to the future as well, is it is a eat or be eaten meta.
Yeah.
Either you take a unit that is so good at destroying enemy units, that's why you take it, or you take a unit and a leader because they're very, very durable.
Yeah.
And that's the only two reasons you would take a leader for a unit, and then you make the unit as big as possible in order to lean into either of those two regards. The rest of the army scores you cards. And that is unfortunately how 10th edition plays.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, look, let's finish on some solutions. I actually think that you've come up with a great solution, maybe inadvertently already.
Final destination, Fox only, no items.
No, I think what it is you've got your special rules on these data sheets, which make your epic heroes epic. Okay, and they've often got a couple of special rules, right? They usually give their unit a special rule. Perhaps that one's always in place. But things like your redeploy, or things like your extra CP every turn, things like, that extra powerful thing which you go, oh, that's really good. Well, you only get that ability because that's their warlord trait. So if they're your warlords, you get it.
And you kind of have that with Calgar.
Right.
Like they balance data slated him to be, if he's your warlord, you get +1 CP. He can't be your warlord if Bobby G's in the army, so this stopped that interaction of them effectively having like 36 CP in a 5-turn game.
Good.
I really like the idea of if they're a captain, they get the captain rule. And then their second rule is something unique.
Yes.
And that way they're much more comparable because you can go and look at a captain and say, right, well, my captain has a slightly different rule to this epic hero, but I can give them an enhancement.
Yes. Yeah.
And now suddenly, and I would argue we need to make enhancements better.
Yeah.
We need to bring back the old weapon relics.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things about epic heroes, pointed appropriately,
yeah.
epic heroes smack so much harder
than,
than normal characters. So give them more of these enhancements that buff them up a bit more. Focus a bit less on epic heroes being army buffers, like +1 CP for the whole army.
Yeah.
If Calgar was just a bit better, like more durable or more killy, then he's less of an issue because he's not buffing the entire army with all of his rules. If Farsight wasn't giving his own unit an extra CP to be spent, but something that the other commanders have, then he's less of an auto take over some of the other ones. Or in Farsight's case, if he's the only person in the army that has that rule, then point it much higher.
Yeah.
Because you have to pay a premium for a rule that nobody else in the army has.
Right.
You should, because that suddenly gives you so much more access to the tactics available to the army. Malice should be more expensive because she's the only source of certain rules in the army. And it makes you much better at the game, or the army much better at the game.
Yeah, no, completely agree.
Yeah, I think it would also help Games Workshop from a balance perspective, because if you've already got, here's the core stat line of a captain, or a commander, or an Archon. Yeah, it is Archon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dracons don't exist anymore.
No, I wish they did.
Or a Orc War Boss, or whatever it might be. This is the core stat line. Okay, cool. They've both got the core rule. Awesome. What are we going to put them at? 50 points, whatever. Okay, this character has access to this weapon, and this weapon, and this weapon, and this weapon. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, whatever. But the special character has this weapon, and it's just better. Fists of Calgar are damage 3 rather than damage 2, and they're twin hit. Okay, cool, we can increase his points by 20. And they've kind of already done that, but by changing the special rules, which so drastically affect other things, as you say, it's really difficult to point, and I think it would just help them. It would also help the player, because then they go, it's a bit more of a straight delineation of what these characters do, rather than, yeah, he does that, but he does that, and both of these are better than that, or both of these are what I need, rather than one of these is different. Yeah. I would also argue you could probably change up the points for other things. it's always going to be this issue with the current point system, as you say, with regards to how things are pointed and the impact that they can have. The difference between Titus in a unit of intercessors is very different to Titus in a unit of Sternguard.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't. You could then point the Sternguard unit higher on the basis that he might join them, but if he doesn't, then you're suffering because you've not.
The old Unari issue
is in the leader section on the data sheet where it says the bullet point, the things they can join. You can have in brackets after the unit plus 30.
Yeah, you could do it that way.
And that actually could be a really useful solution.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, Titus, Blade Guard, plus 30 points in brackets.
Yeah.
And actually, maybe that's the solution.
Yeah.
That's a good solution.
I like that.
Leaders.
Points can always, you know, a part of the issue is the epic heroes just aren't
If
pointed high
Calgar was
enough
250
comparatively.
points because he's a unit of Victrix, are you really going to start paying 500 points for that brick? I mean, you probably will.
Yeah, you
It's a
probably
question,
will,
though,
but
isn't
now
it?
you
go,
might not get all
ooh.
3 prongs, right? You might have to start now sacrificing.
Drop Uriel or Sicario.
Yeah, precisely.
Well,
I don't
look,
know.
with 11th edition rumoured coming this year, perhaps this will be something that they change. It's certainly something that I would like to see. I would like to see the return of relevance to the Warlord keyword. What does that mean? What does that do? You know, should multiple characters all have the same, you know, exponential buffing ability, when realistically actually only one would be the true commander on that battlefield and take command in that theatre of war. But what do you guys think? Join us in the discussion below. Let us know, how would you fix epic heroes? Do you think it's even a problem? Do you like just running all of your epic heroes all the time, every game, and that's fine? Let us know in the comments and we will join you there. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Lawrence, you've been Chef, and you've been Meta Mike. We'll see you in another Meta Slayer show this time next week. Bye-bye.
Want more tabletop tactics? Then get yourself an on-demand membership. You get at least 3 additional shows every single week, covering Warhammer 40,000, Warhammer the Old World, and much more. That's right, each month our members can enjoy 8 full battle reports, as well as our faction focus and codex reviews, get closer to the team with 4 exclusive talk shows, as well as full access to our thriving Discord server. Members can also benefit from a growing library of painting tutorials from our studio painter, and whilst you enjoy your hobby, you can binge our seasons of RPG contents. Right now, new members can access all of this and hundreds more shows for an introductory price of just $4.99 a month or $49.99 for a full year. Join Tabletop Tactics On Demand today and become part of our community.